All right, welcome to a little game development look back. We're going to look back at a couple of games that I did. I'll start off with one of the first games that intrigued me into learning programming a little bit more. My friend came to me with an idea, and it was just a basic 2D platformer type game. A guy runs back and forth and shoots. And I thought that would be a cool way to get into a game development programming, just trying it. Because I'm not a programmer, like I can program. I can go through code, I can figure it out, but I'm not a professional programmer. I do this uh, as a hobby, right? So, um, with that being said, it intrigues me though to write code and to see something happening on screen. See it developing and figuring out new ways to optimize it and whatever. I always like that. What I'm using, what he introduced me to was GameMaker. It's a game engine platform. Originally just 2D. I think it does some 3D. And right now there is Game Maker 2 Studio or something. This is the original, all right, that I purchased. And it uses its own scripting language, GML. And but programming's programming. You gotta learn its functions and what makes it work. But the base concepts of programming are there still, right? So let's jump into the game. And I think there was a bug though initially with this that it wouldn't move at the start. I can't remember. I lost the latest build of this game, but we'll see. So title screen. Neither of us did any of that artwork there behind there. That's something grabbed from the internet. You get different difficulties. So let's go on medium. Okay, let's just move back and forth. Guys will come out of the air, and you push space to shoot your axe up, and guys will fall down. Little particle effects I added, so I just ripped one of the feathers off of his sprites, threw a particle system in there, and there you go. So these little snakes that are running across the ground, right? Uh, they will they will try and grab they will try and grab the villagers. Up here in the top corner here, you have three villagers originally, and every time they go down there and they go to one of these huts, it'll take away one, and then you lose the game, right? Or if your health becomes lower than zero, then yeah. So these are power ups that only last for a little bit of time. You'll see in the top corner there, it went away, right? Now, it's not going beyond this because I never programmed anything beyond that part. This was just an initial test, right? So this one gives an attack bonus, right? You have a score up there, uh, and it'll randomly shoot these out at you. But initially, was an easy concept type game, and I want this is how we learned, right? So we'll close that out. Let's take a look. The structure here. It's based out of objects. You make objects just like in Unity or any other game engine, and you can instantiate or instance from these things. So you create one thing, and you don't have to create multiple enemies. You just create one. All right. And they'll have scripts attached to them, and that's how you manage. You just like with Unity, you create scripts, right? So I have it all separated in control in the folders here. I have enemy movement. I have screen attack, like script attack. So all this is doing is their function for instantiating objects is instance underscore create. That's how you do it, right? And and then it takes the x and y value on screen, which I'm just applying it. So whatever calls this, which is the enemy itself, it will take its x and y, right, and project the fireball or instance the fireball, right? So you go. Let's look at Infernal. What was I doing here? image scale. So I was making the enemy like I think it was Diablo or some other games where you have this infernal state, which would make them stronger and faster. And as you see, if you're infernal for this period of time, your hit points are equal to whatever they were originally, which I've learned different ways of doing this. This is not a good way of doing it, but times it by 2, right? Making them faster, changing his X and Y scale to make him look bigger and setting his infernal state to true, right? And then, as you see, I have a finite state machine, so I'm creating states in which this enemy can function in, right? Bird, death, pickup. Let's see, what's this one? Path and instance nearest object hut. So I don't know what's really going on. Move towards point. So this looks like for the snakes. So what it's doing is it's grabbing the nearest hut. So in the game there was 2 huts, right? And this function will give you the with object hut. It will set this value here to the nearest one, right? And then you're telling that snake to go there. Move towards point is pretty self-explanatory. Hut near X and Y, you're telling to go there, and then the speed at which to do it at, right? Which normally you would have a value there. You'd hold the value there so you could change it instead of having it static 5 and so on. Yeah, so there's a lot going on in here, but these are little, like I have controllers that will, so spawning enemies, the different difficulties. See, the spawning enemy is just a simple script to call, right? You don't want to rewrite this every time. So you write one script and you call it, right? So this is, it's creating the random enemy, which this is another function, right? But it's creating it. It's dividing the room width in half, and then it's setting the Y value on screen to 60. And I think that's just above the screen space, right? And that way you don't see them just popping into the screen there. Let's see other things. Main menu, player. Player is where all the bulk of it is, right? Uh, so you're assigning, instead of writing this every time, you're assigning it to key. You assign it to a variable, right? Uh, Key space check charge plus equals 1. So I have a charge value on the attack. So you can hold it in. The space check is like Unity's key function where it's not a key pressed down, it's while you're holding it, right? And you'll constantly build up charge, right? And then when it's released, it's interesting because this is, sorry, my mic just cut out there. Um, yeah, this is a lot like Unity, how it has its keyboard check release and stuff. So you can do different things when the user releases the button, right? So I got different shots that are being called here. So if you go, if the room speed times 2 and charge, so you're taking that charge value from up here, is less than equal to room speed is actually, it's like I believe it's like games like Unity's update, right? I believe that's what it's like. It's been so long. Key left, so very basic code here. You're just telling, this does not really move the player. This switches the scale to the opposite direction, right? So it's just switching the sprite. Sets the sprite index because the player has different sprites, to animate, right? So you have to switch the index first. That so Doug has made different animation uh, strips, right? And this sets that strip value, right? It sets the scale, image speed again. If the player is running faster, you would set this, higher, right? So here is where you actually move the player. Very basic, like in Unity, it's using vectors, and in this, it's just the x and y value. So you're really just saying left and right, subtract from x. So you're going left, right? On your grid, if you're subtracting x, if your value is at 0, and subtracting player speed, whatever it's at. If it's a 1, then you're subtracting 1 for that every time you've pushed key left, right? Sprite index for throwing. Yep. Uh, Bag holding. There's a lot going on here. Anyway, it's just a brief look at what what I started out with, and it looked cool. You get in there and you start with moving the player around and you see it happening, and then you add something else, you add another function, and it was very gradual. We started off with no power ups and no enemies, and you just take those steps to get where you need to go. And as you can see, this coding, like this scripting language, is pretty basic, but it looks like programming, right? So it's very, very easy. And there's other things I got going on in here. Anyway, that's it for now. I'll do another video on the other game I made in GameMaker. Okay, thank you.